of the jury, the indictment laid against the accused, Harry Walford Webb, has been read to you. Webb did in fact pay James Biddle the sum of £250 to vote for him in the names of 8 other people, all of whom are dead. That Biddle cast votes in the names of these 8 dead people is not open to dispute. That has already been established in an earlier trial in which Biddle pleaded guilty and was in fact sentenced to 18 months in prison. Now, what we are here concerned with is the fact that Biddle committed the offences on behalf of Webb and at Webb's instigation. In other words, members of the jury, that Webb hired Biddle and paid him to act as he did. You are James Biddle?
I am, sir, that's right.
And were you at this Crown Court on August the 17th last convicted of the offence of personation and sentenced to 18 months in prison?
That's right, sir. I never denied it. I never at all. I mean, as a matter of fact, I thought they should have gone a wee bit easier on me, for being so helpful. And saving Her Majesty money now by pleading guilty.
Yes, that is not a matter for us, Mr. Biddle.
No, sir, no. I'm sorry if I was out of turn, sir.
Quite. Now, Mr. Biddle, you admit quite freely that you voted in the names of these 8 dead people in the Rivergate ward during the election for Fulchester District Council on the 10th of May last.
Well, didn't you just hear me say? Your Honour, you heard what I...
Answer the question, if you please.
What? Oh, yes. Yes, sir. Yes, I done it, sir. That's true. I should have known better, sir. I admit. But, I didn't think I was doing anybody any harm. It's not like robbery now, or duffing somebody up.
Mr. Biddle, you really must confine yourself to answering counsel's questions.
Oh, yes, Your Honour, sir. Yes. I'm sorry, sir.
Good. Carry on, Mr. Golding.
Thank you, my lord. So, Mr. Biddle, you knew that you were doing wrong?
Well, I just said yes.
Thank you. Then why did you do it?
Because Mr. Webb asked me to.
Mr. Biddle, was that the only reason you committed the offence? Simply because Mr. Webb asked you to?
Well, sir, there was the extra enticement of the money, sir.
Are you saying that Webb offered you money?
Oh, yes, £250, sir. £50 down, and then the rest, that's the other 200, you understand. The rest when the job was done, as they say.
Yes, when was this?
This was the Sunday before the election, sir.
That will be Sunday, the 5th of May?
That's right, sir. I'd gone out to Mr. Webb's house to talk about a wee bit of a job that he wanted me done,
Yes, what sort of job would that be, Mr. Biddle?
He wanted a new wall built in his garden, sir.
Oh, you do that, do you? Build walls and such?
I do, in my spare time, at weekends and such like, I do odd jobs for people,
I see, yes. Go on, please.
Well, the old wall is a bit shaky anyway, you see, and he had fallen out with his neighbour anyway, so he wanted a new high wall built, you see, to stop them seeing into his garden.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Biddle. You were telling us how and why you went to see Mr. Webb on that Sunday morning.
Oh, yes, yeah. I got a message at me digs.
Digs?
Lodgings, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Golding, I just wanted to be sure that Mr. Biddle was not referring to some part of a building operation.
Quite so, my lord. You received a message at your lodgings?
Yes, saying that Mr. Webb wanted to see me about a wee job he wanted done.
Yes. Was this a written message, a note?
Oh, no. The landlady said that Mr. Webb had called, you see.
You went to see Mr. Webb and you discussed the building of this new wall?
We did.
Yes, and what happened then?
Well, then it turned out that the wall, was only an excuse to get me there.
My lord, the witness is now giving evidence of his assumptions.
Yes, I quite agree, Mr. Biddle. You must not express your conclusions or give us your opinions. Please stick to the facts. Now, do you understand?
Oh, yes, I do, Your Honour, sir. I beg Your Honour's pardon, you see. Only I thought that...
No, Mr. Biddle, we do not want to know what you thought.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Now, what happened after you talked about the wall?
Well, then he invited me into the house for a drink.
Yes, now, you've done jobs for Mr. Webb before. Did he usually offer you a drink?
Well, sometimes, he'd send me out a bottle of beer, but he'd never asked me inside before. And he never offered me whiskey before.
So he offered you whiskey to drink?
Oh, yes, and very nice it was, too. It wasn't Scotch, it was Irish, I can tell you this. He's a gentleman of taste, as Mr. Webb, but it was a real fine drop of stuff, sir. Real McCoy.
Yes. Were you surprised to find Irish whiskey there?
Well, I was. So, he told me he got it done special for me, and that I could take the bottle with me if I wanted to.
Oh, he gave you the bottle of whiskey?
Well, what was left of it after he'd poured out 2 or 3 real snorters for me,
Snorters?
Aye, stiff ones. Big drinks.
Thank you, Mr. Biddle. Mr. Golding.
Now, while Mr. Webb was pouring all this good Irish whiskey into you...
My lord, yes, Mr. Golding.
I beg your pardon, my lord. While Mr. Webb and you were drinking, I take it Mr. Webb did have a drink himself.
Oh, yes, he did, yes, but not the Irish.
Not the Irish?
Oh, no, he drank gin. Although I don't know how any grown man could stomach that stuff.
Yes, I see. So Mr. Webb went to a great deal of trouble to get Irish whiskey in for you to drink. He must have wanted you to build this wall very badly.
Oh, sure, it had nothing to do with the wall at all.
No?
No, he wanted to talk about the election.
Ah, he wanted to talk about the election. What election would that be, Mr. Biddle?
The local council elections that were coming up later that week.
Yes, go on, please.
Oh, Mr. Webb is on the council, you know. Oh, he's a big man on the council. They say he's chairman of this, he's chairman of that. Oh, he takes it all very seriously.
Yes, Mr. Biddle, you really mustn't tell us what people say. Except what Mr. Webb said to you, of course.
Ah, yes. You want me to tell you what he said to me?
That's right.
Well, he started off first chatting, about the weather and the state of trade, sort of general chitter like, I mean, I couldn't make out what he was getting at all. I mean, you don't invite a man into your house now for the first time ever and get in drink special, like, just to chat about the weather. I mean,
Yes,
now, do you?
No, what did he then say?
Well, he then started to talk about the election. We were on to the second glass by this stage, you understand? And he said he was very worried about getting back in, you see, because he thought it was going to be a very close thing and every vote would count, you see. And that was very important for him to get back.
Did he say why it was so important for him?
No, sir, no, he did not. But then he started asking me what elections used to be like in Ulster, you see, and used I to vote regularly there, and I said I did. And then he said that he heard that personation was very common there in the old days, and sort of, did I know about that?
He used that word, did he? Personation.
Oh, yes, sir, yes, he did.
And you knew what he meant?
Oh, yes, it means, you see, voting in somebody else's name.
Yes, go
You
on.
see, the parties used to have these changing rooms, you see, right beside the polling booths, where the men could go in, they could change their clothes, you see, to make themselves look different, you see, so that when they went back in then to vote for somebody else, that they wouldn't be recognised when they said they were somebody else, you see. You see, what used to go on was this.
Mr. Biddle, you really must confine yourself to the events concerning in this case and not go wandering off into the realms of Irish folklore.
Oh, yes, Your Honour. I'm very sorry, Your Honour, you see, but I mean, I was only filling in the background, you
No,
see. So
Mr. Biddle, we do not want you to fill in the background unless you are specifically asked so to do.
Oh, yes, Your Honour, sir. I'm sorry, Your Worship.
Good. Carry on, Mr. Golding.
Thank you, my lord. Now, Mr. Biddle, we've established that Mr. Webb asked you about personation in Northern Ireland. Now, what did he then say?
Well, he then asked me if I had any personal experience of this.
Yes, and what was your reply?
Well, I said I had. Well, I mean, we were on to the third glass by this stage,
Yes, I see, yes. And then what?
Well, he says, I thought you might have, Jimmy. He said, so you know how it's done? And I said, oh, aye, surely. I mean, there's nothing to it if you know what you're doing, But first of all, of course, you have to have the names of the people that you want to impersonate. And then, of course, you have to be sure that they're, out of the way.
Yes, and what did he say to that?
Oh, well, he said that was no problem. So I said, and what did he have in mind? Because I could see the way he was going already, And then he says to me, Jimmy, he says, how would you like, he says, to make a few quid, on the side, like, And I said, well, I might at that, Of course, it all depend on what he wanted done. And, of course, on what he meant by a few quid,
And did he tell you what he meant by it and what he wanted doing?
I said, I think you know what I want, Jimmy. He says, I want somebody to give me a few extra votes. He says, because in this election, he says, every single vote is going to count, and of course they count double if we get to them before the other crowd do, So I said, oh, Mr. Webb, well, how is it going to be done? And he says, now, don't you worry about that. He says, I've got that all organised. He says, I will give you the names of people that are still on the voters' lists, but that are all dead and buried, he said. Now, he says, I mean, you couldn't get safer than that now, could you? And I said, oh, well, no. I said, that sounds safe enough to me. He said, but I said, what is it worth to you? And he says, 200 smackers, Jimmy, me lad. He says, 200 right in the nose.
That is £200 cash.
£200 and one, sirs, that's what he said.
Yes, I see. And did you accept this offer?
Not at all. No, I mean, I could see that he wanted it pretty badly, you see, so I said I would do it for £300,
that is.
Aye, that's right. Well, then after a wee bit of, argy-bargy and, well, that's like haggling. Like, we settled on splitting the difference at 2.5. That's £250.
Thank you. And how was the money to be paid?
£50 down on the rest then when the job was done, like I said before.
Yes, and did he give you the £50 then?
Oh, he did. Aye, he went across to his desk and he unlocked the drawer and took out £50 and £1 notes. It was all there waiting to be took away.
He already had that money there in his desk drawer?
Oh, yes, and he gave it to me and he says, right, he says, we are in business, he says. And I says, lovely. But what about these names? And he said, oh, well, now, he said, you come round to my office at the works, he says, on Thursday at 6 o'clock. He said, before you go off for your tea, I said, and I'll give you the names and where to vote then.
Yes. And you knew where his works were?
Oh, I said, works is in Derbyshire Street. Everybody knows that.
Yes, yes. And were you alone with Mr. Webb all this time on that Sunday morning?
Aye, there was just him and me there. He told me that his missus, that's Mrs. Webb, you understand, that she'd gone off to church with the children. See, they have 2 children, you know, 2 nice kids they are too. You know, they always give me a big wave.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Biddle. Now, during the week until Thursday evening, the 9th of May, when you were to report back to Webb, did you communicate with anybody about what had transpired?
Did I what?
Did you tell anybody about what had happened?
Oh, no, nobody at all.
I see. And did you go to Webb's office on that Thursday evening?
Oh, yes, I went round to see Mr. Webb just like he asked me to. I mean, after all, I had his 50 quid. Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been honest not to have gone round now, would it?
No, I suppose not. So you called on Webb that evening. Now, was anybody else there?
Miss Rhodes, she was there. She was just leaving when I got there, and he says, that's all right, Mary, you go off now, he said, and I'll see you later. And then she went trotting off, and then there was just him and me.
There's no gateman or receptionist for the works?
Lord, no, it's not that big a place at all. I mean, there's no gateman or anything. It was all closed up anyway, you know, and they were all gone home. I don't think there's very much overtime going there now. There's not much doing in that line, you know, at the moment, making car parts and things like that.
Yes, indeed, yes. Now, did Miss Rhodes see you? Did she speak to you at all?
Oh, aye. It was her let me in, you see. And she says, she says, Mr. Biddle, Mr. Webb is expecting you. And then she went and knocked at the door and she told him that I was there, and then she went off and he let me in.
Yes. Now, Mr. Biddle, what happened when you went into his office?
Well, he gave me a copy of the list, you see, with the names marked.
The list?
List of voters.
The register of electors?
That's what it said.
Yes. May he be shown Exhibit 1, please? Now, Mr. Biddle, is that the document which Webb gave to you?
No, aye, look, you see. See, it says there. Look, you see, Register of Electors, Rivergate Ward, you see.
Thank you, Mr. Biddle. Now, will you tell the court what you see there?
Oh, there's one name there, you see, underlined, and St. Mark's written in the margin.
What does that signify?
Oh, well, that was the name of the first dead man that I was to vote for, you see, and St. Mark's parish rooms for the polling station was that I was to vote at.
Was there more than one polling station involved?
Oh, aye, there was 4. It would never work if there's only one. It'd be far too dangerous.
Yes. And how many names of dead people were involved?
8.
I see. Now, will you look at the pages which are marked with slips of paper, please, Mr. Biddle, and tell us whether those are the names which you voted under?
Look, my lord, since this witness has already been convicted of the offences of voting in these names, isn't it rather a pointless exercise?
Yes, I'm inclined to agree with you, Mr. Logan. Is this necessary, Mr. Golding?
Well, my lord, I'm anxious to make the point that the defendant gave this copy of the register to the defendant with the names already marked.
Yes, I see. Carry on.
My lord. Mr. Biddle, you've examined the document now.
Oh, aye. Oh, that's the list that he gave me with the names marked and the voting stations for each one of them written in.
Thank you. Now, what did you do with it then?
Well, I put it in my pocket then till the next morning, you see, and then I went round to each of the polling stations there, and I voted for the names that people marked there. I voted for Mr. Webb, you see, under each one of those names. It was easy. See, there was 2 names for each polling station, you see, so I went around each one of them in the morning, and then I went home and changed my clothes, you know, so they wouldn't be recognised, and I went back, and then I went back on later on in the evening when there was a lot of people around, you know, all coming home from their work, and then I voted for the rest of them then. There was nothing to it.
Yes. Now, after you completed your task...
You mean after I'd finished all the voting?
Yes, when you finished, what did you do then?
Well, then I went off for a quick drink to the King's Arms, and then I went home, you know, to the digs for more money.
You wanted to buy more drink?
Aye, so when I got there, the old bag had bolted the door on me and I couldn't get in.
The old who had bolted the door?
Mrs. Jenkins.
Who is Mrs.
The
Jenkins?
landlady.
And why couldn't you get in?
Well, didn't I just tell you she shut the bolts on the door on me?
Yes, Mr. Biddle, but why? I mean, why would the Mrs. Jenkins, your landlady, why would she not let you in? Why'd she lock you out?
Well, I owed her some money.
How much?
£200. And she said she wanted it right there and then, and that she wouldn't let me in until I went off and got it.
I see. And what did you do then?
Well, what could I do? I went off down to the Guildhall to see Mr. Webb. I knew he'd be down there, you see, for the counting of the votes.
And what time was this?
This was about a wee bit after 10 o'clock, and I went up to the Guildhall and up to the doors, and there was this young policeman standing there, and he was a wee bit shirty, you know. I think he thought I was going to try and plant a bomb or something, you know, with me being from Ireland and that, you know. I think when he heard my accent, he was a wee bit frightened, you know. But anyway, when I told him that I was looking for Mr. Webb, and he could see that I wasn't carrying anything, so he let me in, you know. He was a decent enough young fella, you know. I know him well by sight. He tried to arrest me once.
Yes, I don't think we need to know that.
He took me up to this other fella, see, this big wig belonging to the Guildhall here, and took me away down a corridor to a big door, and he says, wait here, he says to me, you know, sort of down his nose like, and he went into this room. There's all these people milling about, and I waited for a minute or two outside, you see, and then Mr. Webb came back out, and he says, you know, he wasn't the least bit pleased to see me.
And why do you say that?
Well, I mean, he says to me sort of, what are you doing here? He says, you know, in a sort of a sharp whisper, you know, sort of like, what are you doing here? You know, like that.
Yes, and what did you say, Mr. Biddle?
Well, I said, you know, I'm very sorry for troubling you, Mr. Webb. I says, but I need the money tonight.
Mr. Biddle, would you please speak up so that the jury may hear you?
Oh, yes. Sorry, Your Honor. What's the matter? He says, do you not trust me? And I said, oh, no. I said, it's not that, you see, but I've done the job now. You see, I know me landlady a bit of money, and she won't let me in now till I go and get it. And he says, oh, well, I'm very sorry to hear that, Jimmy. He says, but he says, you really shouldn't have come here, you know. He said, but now that you're here, of course, it can't be helped. So come with me, he says. And he went across to a wee table in the corner, took out his checkbook, and he wrote me out a check, and he said he was very sorry he had no cash on him, you know, but this was the next best thing, and I could show it to Mrs. Jenkins, and then I could go to his bank in the morning, you see, and cash it. Only he forgot the following morning was Saturday morning, and I would have to wait till Monday.
Yes. May he be shown Exhibit 2, please? Now, Mr. Biddle, is that the cheque which Webb gave to you?
Oh, boys, oh. Oh, aye. Oh, that's it, you see. Look, you see. Says there, look, pay James Biddle. £200.
Mr. Biddle, Mr. Webb gave you this cheque for £200, which he wrote out in a corridor of the Guildhall just before the count began for the district council elections.
That's right, sir.
But you're saying that he wrote out a cheque and gave it to you in full view of anybody who happened to be passing?
Oh, it doesn't seem to worry him, sir.
Yes, would you describe Mr. Webb as a stupid man?
Oh, no, sir. Oh, no, I would not. No, he's a very clever fella.
Good, we agree on that. Yet, Mr. Biddle, you say he had hired you to commit the serious offence of personation, and then paid you in full view of everybody. Council officials, his political opponents, even a policeman, I think you said, in the Guildhall itself during the election proceedings.
Well, he didn't like it very much, sir. I mean, he told me.
So you say. Yes, Mr. Biddle, the reason why Mr. Webb had no qualms in writing out that cheque is because it had no bearing whatever on the election.
Oh, no, it did. It did. It was payment due to me.
But payment for what? Mr. Biddle, I suggest it was payment in advance for the wall that you were to build in Mr. Webb's garden, and that he gave it to you out of the kindness of his heart because you were in trouble and needed the money, urgently.
No, that's what he told me to say, you see, if anybody asked me.
Because it was the truth.
No, he told me specially, you see, that is what I was to say.
Then why didn't you?
I don't know what you mean.
I think you do. When Mr. Lawrence King, Mr. Webb's opponent in the election, came to you later, you told him something else.
Oh, well, I mean, he got the truth out of me.
Oh, did he? Did he indeed? Yes, perhaps you'd like to tell us what happened with Mr. King.
Well, you see, he came to see me on the Saturday night, said he wanted to talk to me.
Did he say what about?
Well, not at first, you know.
But you let him in?
Oh, well, of course. I mean, sure, I thought it was something to do with work.
I see. Why should you think that?
Well, because he's my boss, of course.
I see. Mr. King is your employer?
Yes. I mean, I do most of my work for his building firm.
Is he a good employer?
Well, as bosses go.
But he's been good to you personally?
I suppose you could say that.
Well, I do say that, Mr. Biddle. How else would you describe a man who pays your airfare back to Ireland to visit your sick mother? That is true, is it not? Mr. King did pay your fare on that occasion.
Aye, he did, sir. That was an act of Christian charity, sir.
Oh, I'm sure it was. Has he asked you for the money back?
No, sir, no. No, he did not. Oh, he's a good man, sir.
I'm very pleased to hear it. There aren't very many of them about nowadays, are there?
My lord, may I ask where this line of cross-examination is leading? It seems to me to be totally irrelevant to the case.
Yes, I have to confess I'm inclined to agree with you, Mr. Golding. Mr. Logan, I trust all this has some purpose.
If your lordship will bear with me for a little longer, I'm sure that you will appreciate my motives.
Very well, Mr. Logan, I will bear with you.
Thank you, my lord. Now, Mr. Biddle, we are agreed that Mr. King has been very good to you in the past, are we not?
We are, sir. We are indeed.
And yet you say that you were helping his opponent in the election, going behind his back, one might say, almost stabbing him in the back.
Ah, well, no. I mean, no, I never thought of it like that, sir.
Because you were not, in fact, going behind his back?
I don't know what you mean, sir.
Oh, we'll see. Now, tell me, Mr. Biddle, when your landlady demanded her money, now, why didn't you go to Mr. King, your employer, for help? He had helped you in the past, had he not?
He had, aye.
Well, why didn't you go to him on this
Oh, well, you
occasion?
see, I was already in his debt, you see. And besides, Mr. Webb owed me the money.
Before the war?
Oh, no, not for the war.
Oh, no, you hadn't started to build that. But you would have expected something on account for that, would you not, if only to pay for the bricks?
Oh, I might have, aye.
I suggest you would have, because the builders' merchants wouldn't give you any materials on credit, would they?
Ah, well, that has nothing to do with it, sir.
It is true, nevertheless.
Yes.
But why is that, Mr. Biddle? Is it because you have been convicted on 3 separate occasions for obtaining money under false pretenses?
I suppose so, yes.
But in fact, Mr. Biddle, you have quite a number of offences against your name, have you not? 3 cases of false pretenses, which of course is another way of saying telling lies. 2 cases of theft, 9 cases of drunk and disorderly, 1 case of taking and driving away a vehicle without the owner's consent, and back in Northern Ireland in 1961, a conviction for personation. That's quite a list, don't you agree?
I suppose so.
Yes, 5 times you've served prison sentences.
Aye, that's right, sir.
So you've been back there so many times, it seems the prison no longer holds any terrors for you.
How do you mean, sir?
Well, I mean, Mr. Biddle, that you don't really mind going to prison for a short while, particularly if there is a guarantee that you will be well paid for your trouble and that there will be a job waiting for you when you come out. That is true, is it not? Mr. King has promised you a job again when you're released.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, that's true, yes.
How much did Mr. King pay you to say that Mr. Webb hired you to commit this offence?
I beg your pardon, sir?
You've told the court that Mr. King called at your lodgings after the election.
That's right, sir. Yes, he came to see me, yes.
When was this?
This was on the Saturday night, sir. It was about 7 o'clock. I was just getting ready to go out.
But you weren't expecting him?
Oh, no, it came as a great surprise.
I see. What happened?
Well, he came into the house. He said he wanted to talk to me in private, so he went up to my room. We talked up there.
I see. What did you talk about?
Well, he said that he saw Mr. Webb giving me the cheque and he wanted to know what it was for, you see. And I said it was for a wee bit of work that I was going to do for him, in my spare time, the wall, you understand, you see. And that I owed my landlady some money, you see, and that I'd have to get it because Mrs. Jenkins wanted it.
Did he appear to believe you?
Well, no, sir, he did not.
Well, why not? It sounds a perfectly feasible explanation to me. Why should Mr. King suspect that it mightn't be the truth? Particularly as we do know that you were going to build a wall for Mr. Webb and your landlady was wanting the money.
Yeah, well, I don't know, sir, he's very sore at losing the election.
Could it have been because he knew about your previous conviction for personation?
It might be, I suppose.
So Mr. King knew about that, did he?
Yes, sir, yes, he did.
Yes, did he indeed? How did he know? Had you told him?
Well, it came out one night, sir, when we were having a drink or two,
Oh, you drink with Mr. King, do you?
Sometimes, yes.
I see, this becomes stranger and stranger. I mean, here we have a man who is not only your employer, but also your drinking partner. A man who, in spite of your police record, has remained your ever-trusting friend and benefactor. And you would have us believe that you would callously stab him in the back for a measly £250?
Oh, well, I needed the money, sir.
Then why did you confess? That was a sure way of losing that money, was it not?
Well, you see, he kept on and on at me, till he winkled it out of me,
No, he winkled it out of you, I see, yes. And how much did he offer you to tell him what he wanted to hear?
£50.
£50, is that all? That doesn't sound like a very good bargain to me, Mr. Biddle. £50 and 18 months in jail set against £250 in your pocket.
Oh, well, he said he would find out anyway, and then I wouldn't get a penny from either side. And as well as that, I'd never work for his firm again either.
I dare say you had a few drinks as well to loosen your tongue.
We had, sir, we had. Mr. King knows my weakness, you might say.
I do say. I suggest Mr. King knows your weakness only too well. I suggest that when Mr. King came to see you on that Saturday evening, the drinks that you had together were in celebration, albeit a premature celebration of the ruination of Harry Webb.
Oh, certainly
And further,
not.
I suggest that it was Mr. King, perhaps reminding you that he was your friend and benefactor, who put it to you that you should use your proven skills of personation to make sure that if Harry Webb could not be defeated in the election by fair means, then he should be defeated by foul ones.
No.
The case of the Queen against Webb will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. In the case of the Queen against Webb, Harry Webb is accused of paying James Biddle £250 to vote for him in the names of dead people during the election for Fulchester District Council. Biddle, who's already been convicted for casting the illegal votes, says that a cheque given to him on the night of the election by Webb was payment for the offence. Webb's counsel, however, has suggested that the money was an advance for building work which Webb had asked Biddle to do at his house, and that Biddle may have been operating on behalf of Lawrence Sebastian King, Webb's opponent in the election, in an effort to deprive Webb of his victory. As we begin the second day of the trial, Lawrence King is about to give his evidence.
You are Lawrence Sebastian King of High Pines, Woodlands Avenue, Fulchester.
I am.
Now, Mr. King, in the recent district council elections held in Fulchester in May, were you a candidate in the Rivergate ward?
I was. I stood against Harry Webb.
Yes, and what was the result of that election?
Mr. Webb was elected by 10 votes.
I see, it was a very close thing then.
Yes, it was, but of course we knew it was going to be from the canvassing results.
Yes, indeed. Now, may I ask you to cast your mind back to the night of the election, please, and to tell us what transpired before the count, which so very nearly gave you a seat on the council.
Well, I'd been round the polling stations just before they closed at 10. In fact, it took me about 3/4 of an hour to do them all, to have a chat with all the checkers outside each one, you know.
Yes, I believe there are 4 polling stations in the ward, are there not?
That is correct. 4 stations. I saw Jimmy Biddle coming out of one of them. St. Mark's Parish room it was. I don't think he saw me.
Why did you think that, Mr. King?
Well, he didn't stop. He went straight off down the road. I remember thinking it's nearly closing time. That's why he was hurrying.
The polling stations were about to close.
No, sir, not the polls. The pubs. As Jimmy likes his tipple, you see.
I see, yes. Now, was there anything unusual about Biddle being there?
Well, see, it didn't strike me till next day. Then I realised. Jimmy doesn't live in that ward.
So he had no business being in that polling station?
That's right. As I said before, it didn't strike me till next day.
Yes. For the moment, Mr. King, I want you to concentrate on the events of that evening. Now, what happened next?
Well, after I finished my round, I went along to the Guildhall to see the count. The counting of votes, that is.
Yes, what time was that?
Just after 10, about 10 past, I think. Yes, the count usually doesn't start till 1/2 past, but I wanted to be there in good time.
Yes. Will you tell the court, please, what happened when you arrived at the Guildhall and what you saw there?
Well, my wife went to park the car, and I went inside the main doors. I was waiting for my wife in the corridor outside the hall when I noticed that Harry Webb and Jimmy Biddle were further down the corridor.
And what were they doing?
Talking. Or arguing, it looked like. Yes, Webb didn't seem very pleased. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but then Webb moved into a corner with his little table. He beckoned Jimmy to go over with him. Took his checkbook out of his pocket, wrote out a cheque, a bit furtive-like, and gave it to Jimmy Biddle. He took a good look at it, put it in his pocket, and they shook hands.
And what did they do next?
I didn't see the wife arrive then. We went into the hall.
But you definitely saw Webb write out a cheque and hand it to Biddle.
I did.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. King.
Mr. King, you say you saw Mr. Webb hand over a cheque.
Yes?
But actually within the walls of the Guildhall where the count for the local government elections was to be held.
That is right.
And earlier that same evening, only a few minutes before, in fact, you had seen Biddle emerging from a polling station where he had no business to be.
That is correct, yes.
And yet you did nothing about it. You didn't even try to speak to either of the 2 men to ask them what they were doing there.
No.
Well, why not, Mr. King?
Well, I didn't suspect anything at that stage.
You didn't suspect anything at that stage, I see. Are you sure it wasn't because there was no need to do anything at that stage? That this was merely the setting of the trap which would only need to be sprung if and when you had lost the election?
Certainly not. I wouldn't do anything like that.
But even though Mr. Webb was your sworn enemy and you had vowed to do everything in your power to see that he was not returned to the council or to his position as chairman of the Building and Public Works Committee?
I never said he was my friend. I did all I could. I stood against him.
Why was that, Mr. King? Why were you so desperate to bring down a man with a long and honourable record in local government, so desperate that you were even prepared to stand against him yourself?
He's corrupt.
Well, that's a very serious allegation, Mr. King. Can you substantiate it?
Well, if you mean can I prove it, the answer is no, I can't. He's too clever for that.
I see. But what do you mean?
He took bribes.
How do you know?
He invited me to bribe him to get the building contract for the new leisure centre. He said if I made it worth his while, he'd make sure the contract came my way.
I take it the contract was a lucrative one?
£850,000.
And what was your reaction to his suggestion?
I was disgusted. I don't do business like that.
You don't? Did you report Mr. Webb's suggestion to anybody?
No.
No? You were disgusted, you say? You were, I presume, upset at the prospect of losing a contract worth £850,000, and yet you did nothing? You spoke to nobody at all about it, not even to your own solicitor?
No.
Why not? Surely, Mr. King, it is the duty of every decent citizen to expose corruption. Why didn't you say or do anything?
Well, I knew I couldn't prove anything. It was just my word against his.
Yes, I suggest you did nothing, Mr. King, because the boot was on the other foot entirely.
I don't know what you mean.
Don't you? Isn't the truth quite the opposite of what you have just told us? That you, in fact, approached Mr. Webb and offered him a substantial bribe, £5,000 in cash, if he would steer the contract in your direction.
Not at all.
And that you were so angry when Mr. Webb brushed you off that you swore you would get even with him.
No, it wasn't like that at all, no. No, he asked me for money.
When was this?
Sometime, September last year. It was at the Constitutional Club, after a committee meeting.
Now, you're both members of the committee of the Fulchester Constitutional Club?
We are. More's a pity.
Now, why do you say that, Mr. King?
Because Webb is a liability to the club. He's standing in the way of progress.
How is that?
Well, some of us on the committee wanted to build a new club on a site which was available out of the town centre. We'd have made a good profit on the deal. We'd have had a more comfortable building with better facilities into the bargain.
I see, and Mr. Webb opposed your plan.
He did. Him and his cronies made damn sure it would get blocked. He even threatened that if the committee voted for it, he'd make sure that planning permission was refused.
Well, naturally, you were upset by that.
True, I was upset.
You're so upset that when the decision went against you, you stormed out of the meeting swearing vengeance on Mr. Webb.
I may have done. My temper was up.
Yes, it must have been. It must have been very important to you to have produced such a violent reaction.
I put a lot of time and energy into that plan.
Naturally, and you stood to gain a great deal of money, did you not, if the scheme went through?
I've already said the club would have benefited considerably.
Yes, but not only the club, you personally, Mr. King, you did intend that your firm should build the new premises.
Well, of course, I don't see nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm a senior member of the club. It'd be daft to give the contract to an outsider, wouldn't it?
Possibly. Was that your principal motive for proposing the scheme, to make yourself a handsome profit?
Of course not. It was for the good of the club.
I see. Now, the new site which you proposed for the club, who owns the land?
Well, I do.
Ah, you still own it?
Yes.
You haven't been able to sell it?
No, there's been a bit of a slump in the building land at the moment.
I see, so you were left with it on your hands at a time when prices were falling sharply. That must have been rather unpleasant for you.
I didn't like it very much now.
Was it then that you tried to persuade Mr. Webb to get you the contract for the new leisure centre?
Oh, my lord, I really do feel this is going too far. It has not been established that there's any proof of this alleged attempt at bribery.
No, Mr. Golding. I see no harm in the question.
Very well, my lord.
Thank you, my lord. Mr. King, did the contract for the building of the new leisure centre come up at about that time?
A couple of weeks later, I think it was, yes.
Yes, and having had your fingers burnt over the Constitutional Club scheme, you must have been very eager indeed to land such a contract.
Well, of course I was. I always am.
Yes, would you describe yourself as an ambitious man?
Well, I wouldn't have my own business if I wasn't.
I take it that means yes.
Yes.
Would you agree that you have a reputation as a tough employer?
You have to be.
You have no hesitation in sacking an employee who misbehaves.
No.
And yet it seems that you are quite prepared to give certain employees a great deal of rope, as it were.
I don't follow.
Well, take Jimmy Biddle, for instance. You employed him knowing he had a criminal record involving lying, cheating, and stealing. You offered him a job when he's released from prison after working for a man whom you regard as an enemy.
I never regard anybody as an enemy.
Well, a rival, then. Your opponent in the election. The man who stopped you getting your way at the Constitutional Club, whom you have described here as corrupt.
Yes.
I must say I find that rather odd. Is Biddle such an exceptional worker?
Not particularly, but he's useful.
Now, in what ways is he useful, Mr. King?
Well, nothing in particular.
Does he keep you informed? Tell you what's going on among the other workers?
I don't know what you mean.
Or does he do special things for you?
Sometimes, maybe.
Like what? Like setting up Harry Webb for you?
No. No, he doesn't mind doing odd jobs around the building sites, that's all.
And away from the building sites, too.
If need be. There's nothing illegal about that.
No. I'd just like to ask you, if I may, Mr. King, what happened after the result of the election in which you were defeated by Mr. Webb?
Oh, yes.
You say you were upset, I think.
Naturally.
But you did not immediately suspect that there was anything wrong?
No, that wasn't until next day. Then I started thinking and putting two and two together. And then I started wondering about Jimmy Biddle coming out of that polling station and then getting money from Harry Webb.
So what did you do about it?
I went round to see Jimmy to ask him what he was up to.
And he told you?
Not straight away, no. I had to get it out of him.
Yes, how did you do that? How do you persuade a man to put himself in prison?
I threatened him with a sack if he didn't tell me the truth.
But you had no proof.
I saw him coming out of the polling station. He knew I could get proof. So he said if I give him some money and promised him he wouldn't lose his job even if he went to prison, he'd tell me. Didn't have much option anyway.
And what did he tell you?
He told me that Harry Webb had given him a cheque for £200 in order to vote for other people. People who had died since the electoral roll was made up, but whose names were still on it. He said that Webb gave him a copy of the register with the names marked on it. He showed me the register.
I see. And what did you do then?
I asked him to give me the cheque.
The one which Mr. Webb gave him?
That's right.
And he gave it to you? Willingly?
Well, I told him he couldn't cash it anyway. It was evidence.
And that was the total amount that Webb had given him, £200?
That's what he told me.
Well, not 250?
No.
What did you do then?
Well, I took the marked copy of the register and the cheque along to the police station. I saw Inspector Matthews there and told him all about it.
And you gave him the evidence. A cheque made out to Biddle, who was building a wall for Mr. Webb and owed his landlady money, and a very conveniently marked copy of the electoral register for the Rivergate ward of Fulchester.
That's right.
Tell me, Mr. King, who is entitled to receive copies of the electoral register?
Well, I don't really know. All the candidates in an election receive copies. They have to for the canvassing, you see.
Ah, so that means that you also would receive copies.
Yes, of course.
Thank you, Mr. King. I have no further questions, my lord.
You are Henry Livingston Walters of 29 Highfield Road, Fulchester.
I am.
And do you hold the position of Assistant Chief Executive of Fulchester District Council?
That is correct.
Yes. And do your duties include the organisation and administration of elections?
No.
No?
No, the responsibility for organising and administering election procedures rests with the Chief Executive, who's also the Electoral Registration Officer and Acting Returning Officer. The Mayor, of course, is the Returning Officer, but he's not called upon actually to do very much except read out the results.
Yes, of course. But you assist the Chief Executive in these functions?
Yes, correct.
Yes. And as part of assisting in these duties, do you issue copies of the electoral register?
I do.
Yes. And did you, before the last election for the District Council of Fulchester, issue copies to Mr. Harry Webb?
I did. He was entitled to one copy as a councillor, which he received in the normal way on the 17th of February, when the register was published, and one copy as a candidate in the election, which he collected himself from my office on the 11th of April, 1974.
I see. So, Mr. Webb had 2 copies of the register before the election?
No, 3.
How was that?
Well, my clerk called me. She was not certain whether Mr. Webb was entitled to an extra copy.
And was he?
No, not as a free issue. Well, I informed Mr. Webb of this, and he purchased an extra copy.
Yes. And did Mr. Webb say why he wanted this extra copy?
Yes, he told me that the canvass returns were showing that it was going to be a hard fight, and he needed to put in extra canvassing effort to make certain of victory.
I see. So Mr. Webb went to the trouble of obtaining an additional copy of the Register of Voters because he said he wanted to make certain of victory in the election.
Yes, that is so.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. Now, how often is the electoral register revised?
Annually, with information collected on the 10th of October.
So the information contained in the register is accurate only at the 10th of October in each year?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, I see. And when are local government elections held?
Local council elections are held every year on the 10th, 11th and 12th of May, when 1/3 of the councillors stand for re-election.
Thank you. So anyone who died between the 10th of October and the election in the May following, their name would still appear on the register?
Oh, yes. I mean, there's no way the name could be removed.
Yes, therefore, anyone presenting himself at the correct polling station and claiming to be a dead person would be able to receive a voting paper in that person's name in the sure knowledge that the dead person could not be marked on the register at that polling station as already having voted.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes. And would you say that anyone with knowledge and experience of local government could be expected to know that?
Yes. Well, an experienced person would know about such things.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Walters. That is all. Will you please stay in the witness box?
Mr. Walters, you say that Mr. Webb asked you for an additional copy of the register. Was there anything suspicious in that?
Suspicious? No, I don't think so.
I see. It was a perfectly normal occurrence?
Yes. It was a little unusual, perhaps. Councillors do not often request additional copies.
But they sometimes do.
Sometimes, yes.
Are the copies numbered in any way?
How do you mean?
Well, is there any way of identifying a particular copy, say the one issued to Mr. Webb on the 1st of May?
Oh, no, there's no mark or number of any kind.
So there's no way of knowing to whom any particular copy of the register was issued?
No, sir. No way at all.
Have you known Mr. Webb very long?
Oh, yes. Been a councillor for 9 years.
And during that time, what sort of record has he had?
He has an excellent record.
And his character as a councillor?
Excellent.
And as chairman of the Building and Public Works Committee?
There's a reputation for being a very able man.
And honest?
Certainly.
Yes, you've never heard anything, a rumour or a whisper even, that might suggest that he is in any way dishonest or that there has been any irregularity in the activities of the committee?
No, sir, I have not.
Thank you, Mr. Walters.
17 Kirby Way, Fulchester?
Yes.
Now, Miss Roundtree, are you the Assistant Registrar of Births and Deaths for the District of Fulchester?
That's right, yes.
Good. And you are responsible for keeping records of deaths within the district?
Yes, I am.
Yes. You keep the register in your office?
Yes, the current one, and the index to the full registers. The actual full registers are kept in the strong room and only the superintendent has access to them.
I see. So if I wanted to look up records of people who have died in the previous 7 or 8 months, I would come to you?
Yes, anyone's entitled to inspect the register or the index.
And do many people avail themselves of this entitlement?
Not many, I'm glad to say.
Not many. So few that you can remember those who do?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And did anyone ask to see the register of deaths on the 1st of May, 1974?
Yes, sir, Mr. Webb did.
Did anyone else?
No, sir, only Mr. Webb.
Only Mr. Webb. Are you sure of that?
Oh, yes. He spent a long time going through the register from the October before. It took him a long time because he wanted to find out who died in his, constituency.
Ward?
That's right, in his ward.
Yes. Now, isn't that a little irregular, Miss Roundtree, for anyone to make a general search of the register?
Oh, it depends how you interpret general search, sir, doesn't it? It was Mr. Webb.
Quite, as you say, it was Mr. Webb. Now, did he make a note of the names?
Oh, yes, sir. He marked them off on a copy of the electoral register.
Yes. May Miss Roundtree be shown Exhibit 1, please? Now, Miss Roundtree, I want you to examine this document and tell the court if this is the copy of the electoral register used by Mr. Webb to check off the names of those who had died.
Could be.
Can you be more sure than that?
Oh, no. It certainly could be. It's marked in the same sort of way, I think. And I think he used a red ballpoint like this is marked with, but I couldn't swear to it under oath, sir. It's a long time ago.
I see, yes, thank you. Thank you. You say you cannot be certain that this is the exact copy used by Mr. Webb, but you say you are certain that he did come to your office on the 1st of May and asked to see the register of deaths, and that he checked the names in your register against a list of names in the copy of the electoral register.
Yes.
Yes. Now, you said earlier that he went through the register of deaths from the last October. How do you know that?
Oh, he specially asked about that. He said he was only interested in the deaths since October the 10th. I particularly remember that, so it's my mother's birthday.
Really? Thank you, Miss Roundtree.
Miss Roundtree, you say that Mr. Webb came to your office on the 1st of May and asked to see the register of deaths. Did he tell you why he wanted to check those names?
Yes. It looked as though this election was going to be a very close-fought thing, and a few votes might make all the difference.
Did he say in what way?
He said he wanted to make sure exactly how many votes he could count on so that he could get to work on the right people. Also, he didn't want to risk offending anybody by asking for their relatives who passed on.
And this seemed a logical thing to do.
Oh, yes. At the time, it seemed quite natural. Taking things a bit far, I thought, but then we all know how seriously these politicians take it all, don't we?
We do indeed. Thank you, Miss Roundtree. What took place at your house on the morning of Sunday, the 5th of May?
Biddle came to see me at my house. He said he'd heard from a friend that I wanted some bricklaying done, and he'd come to see if I'd give him the job.
Had you employed him before?
Yes, 2 or 3 times. He'd done some odd jobs for me, laying a patio, resurfacing a path, putting a fresh roof on the summer house.
Did you ask Biddle to call at your house?
No, I hadn't finally decided about the wall.
Which wall was that?
I have a low wall about 3 feet high between my garden and my next-door neighbour's. I was considering having it raised. Anyway, I was pottering around on my own after the family had gone to church when Biddle arrived. It would be about 11:15.
Why didn't you go to church?
I'm not much of a churchgoer. I never have been. But my wife is, and we both agree the children should be given the benefit of it until they're old enough to decide for themselves.
So you were alone in the house and Biddle called?
Yes, we talked about the wall, and finally I decided to go ahead, and I told Biddle he could do it for me.
Did you invite him into the house?
No, it was a fine morning. We talked outside on the patio.
Did you mention the forthcoming election?
I may have done. I could have while we were chatting. It was very much on my mind.
So you chatted for a while. Did you have a drink with Biddle?
Yes, we had a can of beer each.
Not Irish whiskey and gin?
Good heavens, no. I can't stand either of them.
And did you pay Biddle any money as an advance for the work to be done?
Good Lord, no. I wouldn't do that.
Why not?
I'd never see him again.
But you did give him money later.
Oh, yes, but that was different then. He was in a state, and anyway, I gave him a cheque so that I would have proof.
So that you'd have proof?
Yes, I'd help Biddle, but I wouldn't trust him, particularly over money.
I see. Well, we'll come to the cheque later. For the moment, let us remain with the events of that Sunday morning. Do you ever keep money in the house?
Not if I can help it. It's asking for trouble these days, isn't it?
Did you have £50 in cash in a locked drawer in your living room?
Certainly not.
When did you see Biddle next?
He came to my office on the Thursday evening, just as I was leaving. He brought some catalogues, some brochures, showing differing types of walling materials, and he wanted me to choose one of them for the garden wall.
Did you choose one?
No, I told him to leave them with me, and I'd have a look at them later on when I had more time.
And was anyone else in the office at that time?
Yes, Miss Rhodes, my secretary. She was waiting to go out canvassing with me. She also acts as my election agent.
Was she present when you were talking to Biddle?
No, I told her to go ahead to the club, and I'd see her there in a few minutes, which I did.
So you spoke about the wall only?
Yes, that's right. I told Biddle I hadn't got much time. It was the night before the election, so he left the brochures and went away. I locked up the office and went across to the club.
Now, did you at any time discuss or even mention the subject of personation in the election?
No.
Now, would you tell us, please, what happened at the Guildhall on the next night before the votes were counted?
Well, after the polling stations closed, I went with Mary, Miss Rhodes, that is, and my wife, to the Guildhall for the count. We always try to get there early, and that night we must have got there about 10:05. We went inside. Mr. Allard, the town clerk, that is to say the chief executive, came up and told me that an Irishman called Biddle was asking for me, saying he had to see me very urgently. I excused myself, went out into the corridor, and Biddle was waiting for me by the door. He seemed agitated, upset, and he looked and smelled as though he'd had a few drinks. He said he was in a bit of a mess. His landlady had locked him out and wouldn't let him in until he got enough money to pay £200 that he owed her. He'd come to me because I was the only person he could think of since he was going to build the wall in my garden, and could I possibly let him have a cheque to satisfy his landlady as an advance against the cost of the wall.
And what did you do then?
Well, he was kicking up quite a fuss, and time was getting on. I didn't want a scene there at the Guildhall, so I agreed.
You agreed to pay him the money?
Yes, that's right. I wrote him out a cheque.
And that cheque was for what?
That cheque was an advance payment for work he was to do, building a wall in the garden.
Yes, you've heard Mr. Biddle claim that it was payment for services rendered. Money you had promised him for personating dead voters on your behalf. Now, what have you to say to that?
It is not true. Biddle is a villain and a liar, and he put him up to it.
The case of the Queen against Webb will be concluded tomorrow in the Crown Court. In the case of the Queen against Webb, which is now in its third day, Harry Webb is accused of paying James Biddle £250 to vote for him in the names of dead people during the election for Fulchester District Council. Biddle, who's already been convicted for casting the illegal votes, says that a cheque given to him on the night of the election was payment for the offence. Webb, however, claims that the money was an advance payment for work to be done at his house by Biddle, and that Biddle was in fact operating on behalf of Lawrence King, Webb's opponent in the election. However, we've also heard that Webb obtained an extra copy of the electoral register and went to considerable trouble to obtain the names of dead people and to mark them in his copy of the electoral register.
Mr. Webb, you say that Mr. King incited Biddle to commit this offence in order to incriminate you. Now, why do you say that?
King wants me out of the way. He hates me because I won't play along with him.
In what way?
I won't take bribes.
And has Mr. King ever offered a bribe to you?
Yes. Last year, we were considering tenders for the construction of a new leisure centre for Fulchester. King tendered for it, of course. It was a big contract, very lucrative.
How lucrative?
The contract was finally agreed at £900,000.
Very lucrative, yes. Please go on.
King came to me privately and offered me £5,000 in banknotes if I would steer the contract his way. Those were his words, steer the contract his way.
And what was your reaction to this?
I told him, I beg the court's pardon, I told him to bugger off and stop being so bloody stupid. The contract would go to the best bid.
And what was his reaction to that?
He was very angry. He didn't say anything. He just went very red in the face, turned his back on me and marched off.
And did he get the contract?
No, we gave it to Hayworth's.
And had you clashed with Mr. King over any other matters?
We were clashing most of the time, one way or another.
I see. Do you hold any office in the Fulchester Constitutional Club?
Yes, I'm vice chairman.
Is that an elected office?
It is.
Was your election to that office opposed?
It was. King stood against me.
And do you hold any other positions in local clubs or societies?
Yes, I'm captain of the golf club this year.
Was that appointment opposed?
It was. King stood against me.
I see. Now, I'd like to turn now to the business of the electoral register. How many copies of the register for the Rivergate ward did you receive?
3. 2 which were issued to me as a matter of course, and 1 which I purchased later.
Oh, you purchased an extra copy?
Yes, that's right, just the 1.
Why did you do that?
Well, my canvass information, that is to say, the results of knocking on every front door in my ward and asking the occupants if they were going to vote for me, those results had led me to expect a very close finish. So I decided to do some extra work trying to persuade voters. To keep my records straight, I needed another copy of the register.
I see. Have you ever asked for additional copies before?
Yes, once, in 1968.
For similar reasons?
Yes, that's right.
What about the register of deaths? Did you, on the 1st of May 1974, visit the office of the Registrar of Births, Deaths and Marriages and obtain the names and addresses of people who had died since the electoral roll was made up?
Yes, I did. I wanted to know how many supporters I might have lost. And also, I didn't want to offend or upset anybody by calling at a house and asking for somebody who might have died quite recently.
And how did you record this information?
In my new copy of the electoral register, I marked the names with a cross.
May he be shown Exhibit 1, please? Now, is that the copy of the register marked by you?
No.
And how do you know? It has no number or identifying mark, does it?
No, but this has only about 8 names marked. I noted 15 deaths. And these names are underlined. I marked mine with crosses.
Yes, you will see words written against the names denoting polling stations. Is that your handwriting?
It's nothing like it. This is very crude, almost illiterate, I'd say.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Now, you admit that you visited the office of the registrar and marked a copy of the electoral register with a cross against the names of those voters who had died.
Yes, I have never denied that.
And did you at any time give that register or any other copy of it to James Biddle?
No, sir, I did not.
And finally, did you at any time ask Biddle to vote for you using names other than his own?
No, sir, I did not. Definitely not.
Thank you, Mr. Webb.
Mr. Webb, you've told the court that you hold a position on the council of some influence and importance. Do you enjoy that?
I suppose I must, otherwise I wouldn't do it.
Assuming that that is the only reason for holding such office.
I can't think of any other reason apart from the satisfaction of doing one's civic duty, of course, and that's a form of enjoyment, I suppose.
Perhaps, but what about profit, Mr. Webb?
There's no financial profit, I can assure you. Every time I attend a council meeting or a committee or a subcommittee, it costs me money. My time is valuable to me.
I see. And does that explain why your company is, shall we say, in the doldrums?
You could say that.
It is true, then, that your business is losing money and has been for the past 2 or 3 years.
Yes, we make automotive components, and like everybody else, we're suffering from the recession in the car industry.
Perhaps you'd like to tell us how, then, with business so bad, you've been able to buy a new house by the sea in North Wales and an expensive motor cruiser to go with it.
Certainly. The house is my wife's, built with her own money. The motor cruiser I paid for out of my savings during better years. I have nothing to hide concerning either of them.
I'm very pleased to hear it. Now, we've heard both from you and from Mr. King about a contract decided by your committee for the erection of a new leisure centre for Fulchester.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. King says that you invited a bribe from him.
And Mr. King says a good many things. Very few of them are true. I've already told the court that he offered me a bribe.
Two conflicting versions, and of course it is up to the jury to decide which they accept. But you also said that the contract was awarded to Hayworths, who quoted a sum of £900,000.
Yes, that's right.
And Mr. King tendered a quotation of £850,000 for the same contract, did he not?
That is so.
Well, forgive me, Mr. Webb, but why was the contract awarded to the more expensive company? Is that the responsible way of handling the ratepayers' money?
There were other considerations. The committee, and I stress that this was a committee decision, not mine alone. The committee decided that Hayworths were better equipped to handle a job of this nature and size.
But Mr. King's company is surely a reputable business concern, is it not?
That is a matter of opinion, sir, and I'm not supposed to express opinions in the witness box, am I?
Was your decision influenced in any way by the fact that Mr. King did not make it worth your while?
It was not. If the committee had decided that his quotation was the best one, he would have been awarded the contract, even though he had tried to bribe me.
Did you tell anyone that Mr. King had offered you a bribe?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I didn't see any point in it. I'd already turned him down, so that there seemed to be no harm done.
May we return now for a moment to your house in North Wales?
My wife's house in North Wales, built with her own money, and it's in her own name.
Yes, so you said. But what I would like to ask you, Mr. Webb, is who built it for you, or for your wife?
John Hayworth and Company.
Oh, would that be the same company which obtained the contract for the leisure centre?
Yes, that's right. They're a good firm.
How much did they charge for building this house in North Wales?
Oh, well, I don't remember the exact amount. It was about 10,500, I think it was.
Did you put it out to tender?
Yes, we got in 2 other quotations from local builders in the area.
Builders who have no connection with your local council activities in Fulchester?
Yes, that's right.
And how much did they quote for the construction? I take it all three were quoting on the same specifications.
Yes, they were. One quoted 13,000 or thereabouts. The other was about £300 below that.
So, Hayworth's figure was £2,500 less than the one and some £2,200 less than the other for the same job.
They're a very efficient firm.
Efficient? Sounds as though they might even have been making a loss on the job.
I don't think they'd do that.
Really? Not even to please you, Mr. Webb? Not even to please the chairman of the Building and Public Works Committee of the Fulchester District Council, a man responsible for hundreds and thousands of pounds worth of building work, millions of pounds worth even?
If I'd thought that, I wouldn't have accepted their quotation. I wouldn't even have asked them to quote.
Mr. Webb, about this cheque for £200, you do agree, do you, that you gave it to James Biddle?
Yes, but that was a
Yes, thank
payment...
you, Mr. Webb. That's all I wish to know about the cheque. But what about the other £50?
There was no other £50. Biddle was lying about that, just as he was lying about everything else.
But he did come to see you at your home and at your office.
Yes?
Then how can you say he was lying about everything else?
Well, most other things, then.
And the copy of the electoral register, is he lying when he says you gave it to him?
Yes.
Then where did he obtain it?
I don't know. Anybody can get one.
You do admit that you yourself obtained a copy of the electoral register of voters?
Yes?
Yes, and that you visited the registrar of births and deaths and marked in your copy of the electoral register the names of people who had died in your ward, had died since the electoral roll was compiled.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Mr. Webb, where is the copy which you marked and which you say you used in your canvassing?
I'm afraid I destroyed it.
How very convenient.
Inconvenient, you mean? If I hadn't burnt it, I'd be able to produce it here as evidence that I'm telling the truth. Unfortunately, I did burn it, along with all the other rubbish that accumulated during the course of the campaign.
Yes, you've no more proof of that than you have of your allegation that Mr. King offered you money.
None. Nor do I keep records of every conversation. I'm a local councillor, not President of the United States.
Well, unlike that recently resigned gentleman, perhaps you will rather find that you wish you had.
V Lawyers.
Mrs. Jenkins, you are, or rather you were, James Biddle's landlady.
That's right, sir, yes. He lodged with me for 3.5 years.
Are you married?
Not anymore, I'm not. My old man ran off in 1966. He went to the World Cup final in London and he never came back.
Oh, most unfortunate. But are you still married to him?
No, sir. I divorced him 2 years ago.
Yes, why did you do that, Mrs. Jenkins?
I did have hopes of marrying again, sir.
And whom did you have hopes of marrying?
Why, Jimmy, of course. Mr. Biddle.
I see. So your relationship with him was more than the usual landlady-lodger relationship.
Oh, yes. He said he wanted to marry me. He told me his mother said
my
that...
lord.
Yes, Mr. Golding, yes. Madam, you must not tell us what Mr. Biddle told you his mother said to him.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm very sorry.
Carry on.
Did Mr. Biddle lead you to believe that he intended to marry you?
Oh, really, my lord?
Yes, Mr. Golding. You must not lead your witness.
Beg your pardon, my lord. Mrs. Jenkins, did anything occur during April last year which affected your relationship with Mr. Biddle? Mrs. Jenkins?
Is it all right, sir, if I tell him?
Yes, Mrs. Jenkins, it is quite all right this time.
Oh.
Yes, Mrs. Jenkins?
What?
Did anything happen in April last year?
Yes.
Ah.
Oh, yes.
Well, what was it?
He went back to Ireland to see his mother. She was sick.
And how did that change things between you?
Oh, no, it was when he came back.
Well, what happened when he came back?
I lent him £200 to pay for the expenses of his mother's funeral.
I see. How did that affect your relationship? How did that change things between you?
Oh, it didn't at first. It was only later I found out.
What did you find out?
His mother isn't dead at all. And he's got a wife in Ireland.
And what were your reactions to that? How did you feel?
Oh, I was raging mad. I told him to find somewhere else to live. But first, he had to pay me back my money. It was my savings, you see, for the wedding.
When was this?
It was the last week in April, sir.
And did he pay you the money back?
No, sir. He hasn't to this day.
Now, I want you now to cast your mind on to the 10th of May, 1974, the day of the local council election.
Yes, sir.
Now, what happened on that day?
Well, Mr. Biddle didn't go to work. He kept coming in and out of the house. I didn't like it. Then he started taking his clothes away. Well, I could see he was going to do a moonlight if I wasn't careful. He thought I hadn't noticed.
No, Mrs. Jenkins, you mustn't tell us what you thought he was thinking. Only what you saw and did.
Oh, well, I saw him getting his clothes together, and I saw him going out of the house, so I bolted the door. And when he came back, I told him I wouldn't let him in till he had the money. Oh, I was wild, I can tell you.
And did he get the money?
Oh, yes, he did. He was back only half an hour later with a cheque, so I let him in.
Good. Now, did anything unusual happen the next day, the Saturday?
Well, Mr. King came round, but that's not unusual. He had a bottle with him, and he went off with Jimmy, with Mr. Biddle, to his room.
What did they do there, do you know?
Oh, they were drinking and laughing. They sounded very happy.
They didn't invite you in?
No, sir.
How long did Mr. King stay?
Oh, not long. About half an hour at the outside. Then he went off, still laughing and enjoying himself, and a few minutes later, Jimmy came down. He was grinning all over his face.
Just what time was all this?
Oh, it was nearly 7 o'clock when he came, sir.
You sound very sure about that.
Oh, I am. It was so unusual, you see. Usually on a Saturday night, Jimmy's out waiting for the pubs to open at 6, and he doesn't come back till they shut, or throw him out. Well, I wondered why he was still in the house at 7, so I asked him, and he told me he was waiting for somebody, expecting a visitor.
Who turned out to be Mr. King.
That's right.
Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins. Just stay where you are for a moment, will you?
Mrs. Jenkins, now, you say it was not unusual for Mr. King to call on Mr. Biddle.
No, sir, it wasn't.
And when he did they often have a drink together?
Yes, they did.
So there was nothing suspicious about that visit?
Suspicious? Oh, not suspicious, I suppose.
No, thank you. Now, this money you lent Biddle.
I haven't had a penny of it still, sir. Can you do anything about it? I mean, well, this is the court, isn't it?
I'm afraid it's not the right sort of court for that, Mrs. Jenkins.
Oh.
No. Now, you say that you discovered Biddle had been lying to you some 2 weeks before the elections, and you demanded the return of your money then.
Yes.
Yes, and what was Biddle's reaction?
Oh, he told me to try and get it. Then when he heard that Mr. Webb wanted some work done in his garden, he went off to see Mr. Webb.
At Mr. Webb's invitation?
Oh, no, sir.
Now, Mr. Webb left a message with you, did he not, saying he wanted to see Biddle?
Oh, no, sir, Mr. Webb wouldn't do that. No, it was Jimmy's idea, to try and get the money he owed me.
I see, yes. Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins.
Miss Rhodes, you are Mr. Webb's private secretary, are you not?
I am.
And how long have you worked for him?
8 years.
What do your duties include?
The normal duties of a secretary, you know, running the office, looking after the correspondence and so on. Well, that's my job for H.W. Webb Limited. Then outside that, I do work for Mr. Webb in his political life.
How are you paid?
For the work at the firm, I'm paid by the firm. The other work is paid for by Mr. Webb out of his own pocket.
Why is that?
He regards it as immoral to use the firm for his own private interests. He says it would be cheating.
Would you say that that is unusual?
Not for him.
I see, thank you. Now, during the election last May and the preparations leading up to it, did you act as Mr. Webb's agent?
Yes, I did at the previous election too. Mr. Webb found it convenient being an independent councillor.
And as such, you were responsible for organising the canvassing of voters?
I was.
And what sort of results did you obtain from your canvassing this year?
That it was going to be a very close fight indeed.
As a result of that, did you decide to do anything?
Yes, Mr. Webb and I decided that we would have to pull all the stops out, work especially hard to make sure we knew which voters were certain to vote for us, and the probables, and make absolutely sure we got them all to the polls.
And did that include doing anything you did not normally do at an election?
Yes. There are quite a few older voters in the Rivergate ward, and we knew that there had been more deaths than usual during the winter. Well, the flu epidemic that we had in Fulchester saw to that. We decided that we'd better find out just how many voters we might have lost and who they were. Mr. Webb said that the only accurate way of doing this would be to check the register of deaths. So he got an extra copy of the voting list and went to the registrars himself.
How many were there?
15, which could have been enough to have lost us the election as it turned out, proving that it had been a sensible idea.
Yes. And how did Mr. Webb mark these on his copy of the register?
With a cross beside each name.
And do you know what became of the copy of the register which Mr. Webb marked?
Yes, it was burned along with the other papers that had accumulated. Mr. Webb always does that. He doesn't believe in hanging on to rubbish, only correspondence and such.
Thank you. Now, did Mr. Webb ever discuss with you the idea of building a new brick wall in his garden?
He'd mentioned it, yes.
And did he, to your knowledge, ask anyone to build it for him?
Yes, Jimmy Biddle. Mr. Webb told me that Biddle had called on him at his home and asked if he could have the job.
Thank you. Now, Miss Rhodes, did you see Biddle at any time before the election?
Yes. He came to the office on the Thursday evening, just as we were leaving. Well, he didn't pick his time very well the night before the election.
Did he call by arrangement?
No, he just arrived. He had some brochures that he wanted to give Mr. Webb to do with the wall he was going to build.
So Mr. Webb was not expecting him?
No. As I said, we were just leaving. Had Mr. Webb been expecting him, he would have waited.
I see. Now, on the night of the election at the Guildhall, before the count started, did anything unusual occur?
Yes. Mr. Webb was called out of the hall to see Biddle. Mrs. Webb and I waited in the hall. Mr. Webb came back and said that Biddle was a stupid fool and that he got himself into some sort of a mess with his landlady and that he'd had to give him an advance on the cost of the wall. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had anywhere to sleep that night. Well, we all had a little joke about Biddle and his landlady, and then it was forgotten.
Thank you, Miss Rhodes. Now, just one final question. What is Mr. Webb's attitude to bribery?
Oh, he's violently opposed to any sort of bribery. Well, it's a thing with him. He won't even accept a business lunch if he thinks it might be a sweetener. He refuses Christmas presents from suppliers and never sends any out himself, except to the staff. Everybody in the works and the office always gets a bottle of something, also a Christmas bonus. That's as a mark of his appreciation. He's not mean.
Thank you, Miss Rhodes.
Miss Rhodes, you painted for us a picture of a man who's almost too good to be true. Kind, generous, honest, hard-working, a man of impeccable morals.
Yes.
Perhaps you find it difficult to be objective about Mr. Webb.
I don't understand what you mean.
Well, you're an attractive woman. You've never married.
No.
The right man hasn't come along? Or is it perhaps that the right man has come along, but is already married?
No.
And married to a woman who holds the purse strings, and she can afford to buy property in North Wales, and her husband can't. Isn't that the case?
No.
Tell me, who is the majority shareholder in H.W. Webb Limited?
Mrs. Webb. But it's Mr. Webb who does all the work.
With your assistance. You work very hard for him, don't you?
Yes.
And you admire Mr. Webb very greatly.
Yes, I do.
Do you accompany him on business trips or to conferences?
Sometimes.
Such as a trip to Scarborough in February last, and again to Oxford in June and London in October?
Yes.
If your relationship with Mr. Webb is purely secretarial, why did you then share the same room? Why did you register in hotels as his wife? Wishful thinking?
No.
So this man who is so proud of his high moral standard secretly sleeps with a woman who is not his wife and makes false statements in hotel registers into the bargain.
It's not like that. It's not like that at all. I love him.
Yes, you love him enough to be his mistress, even although he is already married?
Yes.
You love him enough to work for him day and night, giving him all your time and energy?
Yes.
And do you love him enough to lie for him, even under oath in this witness box?
Oh, no. I haven't lied. Not here, not today.
Really? Yes, thank you, Miss Rhodes. I have no more questions.
Miss Rhodes, you've told us very bravely that you love and admire Mr. Webb.
Yes.
What do you particularly admire in him?
He's a good man. Truly good.
I see, and you love him very deeply, but you still wouldn't lie on his behalf. Why is that?
He'd never forgive me. It would be dishonest. And he'd never forgive me for that.
Thank you, Miss Rhodes.
Now, members of the jury, it is my responsibility to remind you of the charges before you and of your duty in deciding on them. Harry Walford Webb is charged with the offence of personation in that he aided, abetted, counselled and procured James Biddle to vote in the names of persons other than his own. Now, of course, James Biddle is only a tool. What we have here is the culmination of an intensive rivalry between two local businessmen, both seeking positions of power and influence in local affairs, apparently at the expense of the other. Now, what you have to decide, members of the jury, is whether either of them seeks that position sufficiently strongly to break the law in order to attain it, or indeed to prevent the other from attaining it. Whom was Biddle acting for? If you believe that this admitted criminal would do anything for money, that for the sum of £200 or £250 he would work for Webb against the interests of King, to whom he owes the loyalty of a debtor, an employee, and a drinking companion, if you believe that his desire for money would override these loyalties, then you may accept his story and find Webb guilty. If, however, you do not believe that, if you believe the King's influence over him was strong enough to persuade him to take part in a conspiracy to incriminate Webb and so deprive him of office, then you must find the accused not guilty. And let me remind you that in this case the burden of proof rests with the prosecution. The prosecution must prove that beyond all reasonable doubt Webb did urge Biddle to do what he did. It is not for the defence to prove otherwise. Now, I ask you to retire, members of the jury, to consider your verdict.
All stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Please answer this question yes or no. Have you reached a verdict upon which you are all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the defendant, Harry Walford Webb, guilty or not guilty of personation?
Not guilty.
Harry Walford Webb, you are free to go.
Court will rise.
You can join another jury when our cameras return to bring you a leading case in the Crown Court.